Welcome back, everyone. Dustin here again, Average Guy Hi-Fi. I've got another subwoofer review for you guys. So these seem to be my favorite reviews, I just like subwoofers in general. I obviously like speakers and home audio gear as well too, but subwoofers, they're just so different. I mean, I've listened to hundreds of different subwoofers in my space now, and it's amazing how different they really can sound. Obviously, placement and getting them properly calibrated and everything is a huge part of that, making sure that they sound their best. But for whatever reason, I like bringing new subwoofers home. So this one's actually a little bit different. This is somebody local here, another local home audio enthusiast in the area actually reached out to me and asked if I wanted to review a couple of his subwoofers. So he wasn't using them at the time. He's like, hey, feel free to come grab them and, you know, give them a test out. So thank you, by the way. That was very nice of you, and that'll help me kind of get more content for this channel because, again, my idea behind this is to document all the stuff that hasn't been documented, and then also some of the stuff that has already been documented, and just try to do a big, almost like a journey of like all the different speakers that I've owned, tested, and then kind of compile it. That way, if you guys come across speakers that maybe haven't been reviewed, you might see my videos and then hopefully subscribe and give me advice and ask me to try to pick out gear for you to review, which has really been working. So again, thank you guys again. The time I'm shooting this video, I'm at 1,199 subscribers, so almost 1,200 subscribers already. So thank you guys again for the support. So what we have right here is a Polk PSW650 subwoofer. This is, I haven't shrunk or anything. This is just a pretty good size subwoofer, as you guys can see me kind of spinning it around. A little bit different than a lot of other traditional designs out there, as you guys can probably already tell. But this subwoofer came out right around 1999, so it's roughly 20 years old. It is a dual 10-inch subwoofer. So what I mean by that is there's actually two 10-inch subs on either side of the cabinet. So I'll show you this one first. And it's just an open cabinet, so they're not individually sealed off from each other. So if you tap on this one, the other one on the other side moves. So there's the first one, and then here's the second 10. And then on the back it has Polk's amplifier, which is, if you read off specs, this is not a very powerful amplifier. Now, I've actually read two different specs. There's a review that says it's 250 watts, and then there's Crunchfield that says it's 165 watts. So not exactly sure. I put 250 watts in the description. That sounds a little bit more in line with the subwoofer this size, but it's high quality power. So again, don't necessarily just go off the specs of the amplifier power, but it's more of the totality of the package, especially when it comes to subwoofers. So this subwoofer had a MSRP of $699 when it came out, which is actually pretty impressive. The only problem is that there was a bunch of other brands coming out, the factory direct brands, SBS, Epic. There were some ones that went out of business like AV123. I mean, I can keep going on. There was a bunch of subwoofer brands that didn't quite last, like SBS, Shoe, and a couple of the other ones have. So they had a lot of competition when it came out. So we'll get into that when it comes to the review section of the video. This right here is the Polk, kind of their patented power ports. Their newer models come with power ports as well too. So it has like it's really hard to tell, but you can kind of see there's a gap right here. I can put my hand in between it, and then it has a cone that reduces air turbulence when it comes out of the ports and gives you a smoother bass response. That's what Polk is claiming on those, and I've always had good experience with their power port speakers. So the other cool feature about this subwoofer as well is that actually, you won't be able to tell here, but this right here is the Polk traditional badge. It has a little light there letting you know when it's plugged in and everything, but it has the gain control on the front here. So you don't have to try to move this big boy around to try to get at it. So that's kind of a really neat feature that I wanted to show you guys. But the dimensions are, it's about 18 inches high, it's about 17.5 inches wide, and it's about, with the power ports, about 19 inches deep, and it weighs about 60 pounds. Actually, 61 pounds. So it's a pretty stout subwoofer, but for two 10-inch woofers in a box this size, I was expecting it to weigh a little bit more. I'm happy that it didn't, again, because I'm carrying speakers all the time now these days, it seems. So when I can find something that's a little bit lighter, it saves on my back. But anyway, we're going to pop over there. I'm going to go to my old favorite, kind of what really got me into home theater bass. We're going to do Tron. I'll show you guys the woofers in action, and then we'll come over here and I'll give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi scoring, where I just give you guys how the sub performed when it comes to quality, how it performs when it comes to the bass response, how it performs when it comes to the MSRP value, and then also aesthetics. I can't give you guys my price paid because, again, somebody is kind enough to let me borrow this, so we'll just do 4 categories for this subwoofer. That way the scoring still stays nice and accurate for you guys. So let's go over there, let's check out some Tron.
This is going to be quite a ride. I believed in users once before. Playing all the angles.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the demo section of the video. Now we're on to the average guy hi-fi section. So this is where I give you guys my overall impressions of the sub. Again, that movie Tron, still one of my benchmark movies. I think it's a must-own. When it comes out in 4K, Tron Legacy comes out in 4K, I'm going to jump on it, and I'm excited for the new Tron to be coming out. Hopefully Disney brings in Daft Punk again, and they kind of stick to the visuals and the audio. It's not going to have the best plot lines in the world. It's not going to knock your socks off that way, but if you're into home audio, home video, then that movie, even on Blu-ray, is really hard to beat. Almost all my other movies are, 4K, but that thing still holds up pretty well. So definitely highly recommended by that one. So we'll just jump right into it. From a quality standpoint, this is a nice, beefy, stout sub. It has good weight to it. You can tell that everything from the grill materials, nice high quality. The woofers themselves are nice and stout feeling. Rubber surrounds. Just an overall package. Definitely a nice quality sub. Gave it an 8 out of 10. My one complaint would be that it doesn't have a detachable power cord, but that's a pretty minor thing. I also really, like I mentioned previously, I love the fact that they put the gain control on the front of the subwoofer. That is just such a smart design, especially considering this thing weighs 61 pounds. People don't want to be dragging it out to try to make adjustments or try to do it upside down like I've done many, many times, and you guys probably have as well. So 8 out of 10 when it comes to the overall quality. When it comes to the bass, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I definitely could tell that this, part of this little bit of a lower score than I wanted to give it was because it's in the shadows of 3 different SVS subwoofers that I'm reviewing. So, it's got some very tough competition. Plus, it's 20 years old. These SVS subwoofers are newer. But this subwoofer had good, tight, clean, punchy bass. But for home theater, there's definitely better options. I felt like it started trailing off. Like if you read a couple of the reviews, they were saying 28 hertz to 25 hertz, somewhere around that range. I didn't really experience that. I think it starts probably falling off somewhere around the 35 hertz to the 30 hertz range, to be totally honest. And still very good sounding bass, and as long as you're not trying to drive it too loud, it'll do a very good job pressurizing the room and keeping its composure. 7 out of 10 when it comes to the bass response. When it comes to the MSRP value, I also gave it a 7 out of 10. When this subwoofer came out in 1999, roughly around that time, that's kind of when SVS was starting to heat up. There was brands like, some of you guys probably never even heard of these brands, but there was brands like Reaction Audio. There's brands like Elemental Designs. There's brands like Epic. Those are SVS, obviously. Shure, those are still around, but there was a lot of factory direct subwoofer companies kind of fighting for position in the market. And so the competition was very steep. You could pick up a SVS subwoofer for around $500 that would outpace this subwoofer. Again, still a very good quality subwoofer, still a very good deal, especially by today's standards. But at $699 at the time when it came out, the competition was pretty steep. So MSRP value gave it a 7 out of 10. When it comes to the aesthetics, I like this style subwoofer. The Velodynes that I've reviewed, the little sealed SBS subwoofers that I like, when they're kind of just chunky, they're sit in place. They don't take up a whole ton of room, but they also aren't too small where they look like they're not going to perform very well. So I kind of like the design of this subwoofer. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 when it comes to the aesthetics, just because it's going to just look like a subwoofer is the easiest way I would describe that. It looks just like a well-built, heavy-duty subwoofer. So I like also the fact that they're side firing drivers, so it keeps the front of the subwoofer nice and clean. That way, if it's going like under an end table or something like that, you'll have a nice clean gloss panel on the front showing off, instead of some subwoofers that have the front firing drivers or whatever. There's a bunch of different configurations out there. So for me personally, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 when it comes to the aesthetic. So that is 29.5 out of 40. Again, somebody loaned me this subwoofer, so there's no my price paid category. So we're just going out of 4 categories instead of the usual 5. So I gave it it ended up being 29.5 out of 40, which is a 74% average guy HiFi score. Just a very nice subwoofer. I really appreciate the person loaning it to me. And then we're kind of on to the next. I've got some really cool speakers that I'm going to be reviewing coming up here shortly, maybe this weekend. Otherwise, there's a couple more subwoofers that I need to get going, so I can kind of get them sold and get them out of there, so I can free up some space. Because as you can see, I'm kind of surrounded. This is a speaker, that's a speaker. Those subwoofers over there's 4 subwoofers right there. So I'm kind of getting myself walled in. It looks like I'm a speaker hoarder at this point in time. But again, I want to keep this content going. I want to do those 2 videos a week. Just try to keep the motivation going, because right now, I mean, at 1,200 subscribers, I'm just super happy with the way that this channel's been growing. I'm a little different, you know, people won't like my videos because I'm not jumping into taking the deep dive on stuff, but I want people to know that they can get good deals on audio gear out there on the secondhand market. And I'm also just trying to review stuff that really has never had a video review of. You'd have to read like a lot of the old Sound and Vision. By the way, Sound and Vision is just a wealth of resources to me in this channel. So I'm going to start putting their links to some of the reviews that they've come out with over the years. And I just really appreciate there's companies like out there doing it. I'm going to try to carry that torch a little bit, do it my own way. But again, this seems to be working. There's people out there that, the reason I started it was because I had speakers that I just didn't know anything about in the past, and nobody ever did reviews on, so I didn't know where they stacked up. So what I'm doing is just trying to just document as much home audio gear as I can, just to keep the content going and try to keep the videos a little bit shorter, even though I'm rambling a little bit right now. So again, thank you guys. My name is Dustin. The name of the channel is Average Guy HiFi. So I really appreciate you sticking around this long. Thanks again.